Welcome back. This is module 2 of lecture 5. This is the part where we're going to create a simple but quite cool application. And we call this module Let's Make Some Noise. So let's go to Xcode and create a new project for this. Just a simple Cocoa application, nothing new here. And we call it say it, something like that. So you remember in lecture 2 we created a simple web browser, and it didn't take much time. It took a few minutes. We were able to run a simple web browser within a few minutes. That was because we had this awesome framework called WebKit, and we have it provided for us. And in the next lectures, we were creating all those applications with windows like this, and buttons and text fields, and we didn't care about how they work, we just had them. This is because we have another awesome framework called AppKit, and the Cocoa API to work with that AppKit. As I said in one of previous lectures, we have a lot of frameworks that are just awesome, and we can get more from somewhere. We can create our own frameworks and reuse them in future. One of the cool things that we can find in this operating system is a speech synthesizer. This operating system, the OS X, tries to be accessible by different people, including people with disabilities. Although speech synthesizing is just fun, you can make your computer say different things, it's actually a really useful tool for people with vision impairment, for blind people, for people who don't see really well, for old people who want to read stuff from the internet or letters from their grandchildren, but not able to read small letters really well. So it's a nice thing of a computer to do if it can read something off the screen for the people in a nice English voice and some other languages as well. So this thing is accessible by developers, and I want to make a simple application that will read whatever I write. So for this I need, first of all, a text field. I have it right here. Just drag it, make it bigger, and I also want 2 buttons. I want one button right here, and I want another button right here. So this one will be called speak, and this will be called stop. And you kind of can guess what they do. Okay, so you remember we were creating those outlets in the previous lecture, and we were writing them by hand, IB outlet, NS button, speak button, something like this. And it's fine, but there's even easier way. So let's make it just nicer like this. Right here in the top right corner, you have different buttons to make your interface different. So you can make those go away. The second button here shows up the assistant editor. And assistant editor is basically another window of code that is connected to the thing that you have on the left. So if I have my main application here on the left, we are going to see the header file for that application. And this is really useful because there is an easier way to create outlets and actions. I have this text field, and I want to create an outlet for that text field so that I can use this text field from my code, I can reference it somehow. So I want to create the variable. And it's really easy from here. If we have the assistant editor open, I control click on my text field and drag it here. And I see this little window. It allows me to create an outlet. So I will say this is text field and just hit connect. Boom, I have a property. And this is even better than what we did by hand last time. By hand, we just created an IB outlet, a single variable. This created a property, and you probably remember this from previous lectures. A property is something that we can synthesize and get getters and setters automatically. So if I go back to my main file, I can see I have now this synthesized. The text field is now synthesized, and I can access this text field, and I can get and set stuff from that text field. What if I want to make an action? It's the same way. I want to make an action for the speak button. I control click the speak button, drag it here, but now I have to select action. And I just call this action somehow. This will be the name of the method. And I hit connect. So now I have this action. So this not only connects the action to the view, but creates the action in the code, something that we did by hand last time. So I'm going to do the same for the stop, and we'll call it, oops, yes, this is an action, and I call it stop it. Now I have those two actions. Make it nicer like this. So now if I go to my main file, I even have empty methods right here in the implementation. So what do I need to have for this speech synthesizer? Well, first of all, I need to create it. So in my interface, I have to define it first. And we didn't have any variables yet, so I had to add those brackets. And I'm going to create an speech synthesizer and call it speech synth. So again, this is just a pointer, it's not an object. So if we go back to our main file, we can see we have this command by default. It says insert code here to initialize your application, and this is basically an init for your application. This is where stuff is going to run when your application starts. So this is a good place to put our line of code to create the speech synthesizer. So I have this speech synth, and just like we did with another objects, I want to make it a new object and a speech synthesizer alloc. And then I want to initialize it, but I can actually initialize it with some voice. So I make it init with voice and make it nil because I want to have a default voice now. And in the next module, we're going to actually change the voice. Okay, that's it. We can use it now. So all I want to do now is when we hit say, and we have this method here, I want to read it. I want the synthesizer to read it out loud. So I can reference the speech synth, and it has a method called start speaking with string, start speaking string, and it accepts an NS string, and I can just write something here like hello, but I want to get the stuff from our text field, and I have a text field because I created an outlet here, remember? So I can reference text field here. I have a text field, and I can get the string value of that text field. Here's an error. Since we created it by automatically, it actually uses this syntax. So the getter and setter are with underscore. So this, we're going to get the string value of the text field, and for the stop, I want to just speech synth stop speaking right there. And I hopefully have no issues. I run this application and see what happens. Okay, let's try it with Gangnam Style, of course.
Gangnam Style.
That works. You hopefully heard my speakers are not too loud.
Gangnam Style.
And let's see if stop works.
Gangnam.
That works too. So this was easy. You have to admit this was easy, and this module was just to show you how you can create outlets and actions easier and faster. And let's go on to the next module and actually see what delegates are.